Hey everyone, how's it going? Henry here, and today we have another video about the new flight sim coming out, Microsoft Flight Simulator. They released two of their four little interesting series on the new flight sim. So today we're going to watch two of them. We're going to watch the world one and the weather one, and we're going to go through them real time. I'm going to stop them whenever I have comments, so if you're triggered by that, just to let you know in advance. But yeah, let's go through it right now, and let's see what they have to say, and let's talk about it. So here we go. Video 1, World. Let's give it a go. These are available in like their insider section of their flight sim site, so definitely give it a go. It's all free. So, the Feature Discovery Series, The World.
Hi everyone, I'm Lionel Fuentes, lead engine programmer here at Asobo Studio.
Lionel,
we are developing the next generation of Microsoft Flight Simulator through four main points. I will speak about the data sources, the augmentations from those data sources that we could compute on Azure, more on this later, a little bit about the impact on bandwidth, and then some procedural generation techniques that we developed. So, the world. Our planet is really beautiful. It is full of natural wonders, from Ayers Rock to the Himalayan mountains, to also man-made features like the Statue of Liberty, Mont Saint-Michel, the Tour Eiffel. So we wanted to get
definitely
all
not French at all. Tour Eiffel
in the simulator for you to enjoy. So when we started doing this, we realized how much the world is big. The world is
so French.
Really big.
So French.
And,
it is a very big world.
We had to change the internal way we represent a 3D point in space in our engine, like from single precision floating point to double precision floating point, because we couldn't handle that big of a world.
That's really interesting how if you watch what's it called? If you watch Kurt J. Mack, it's a YouTube video. It's like Farlands or a Bus. He's trying to work on walking to the outer worlds, because what he just said, single versus dual precision floating point, is that when the numbers get too big, the precision, you actually drop numbers like a decimal, and oh my gosh, that means that like just the world is just too big for the engine, so they actually had to have a double precision. So like they moved the decimal place because there's that much, the world is that large in that sense. So that's really interesting to hear from this guy.
The biggest impact of this was on the amount of data, because you need a lot of data to represent the world.
This is true.
Bing Maps was here with 2 petabytes.
Okay, so they're using Bing Maps for their satellite, 2 petabytes of data. So that's cool, but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried now, because like, are you streaming that or?
Of aerial imagery, elevation data, 3D scans for a select number of cities. So all of this data were there, sitting, ready for us to stream in the simulator. This allowed us to get all the airports in the world, which we estimate to more than 40,000, to get all the cities.
Just low. I really am impressed with the clouds. I mean, like, especially for like just the ambient lighting, that's very good.
Which we estimate to more than 2 million, to get all the roads in the world, to get all the mountains in the world. Basically, the entire world is there available for you to fly. Not only do you have the entire world, but it also matches the real world. And the big consequence for this is that now VFR flying is available for you everywhere.
Okay, 2 things. Matches the real world is really cool. So like, I'm assuming that's going to update if later on in the video. But he's saying VFR is now possible. It was already possible. I mean, like, we already have with X-Plane and the old Microsoft flights, and we already have that stuff. So don't try to sell that on us.
Visual flight rules, and it's a way of flying your aircraft by relying on visual cues in the environment, like where you see given.
So it basically just talks about VFR flying for a bit. Okay, let's go down here. More data needed.
So we got all those data, but then we needed really more data than that. The reason we needed those data is because we still didn't know where to place trees. We still didn't know what shape building should have, and what color its roof should be, what is the type of roof over there. So in order to generate those additional data, we relied on Azure Cloud Computing. Azure allowed us to run AI algorithms and computer vision algorithms in order to detect all the trees in the world, which we estimate to more than 1.5 trillion, It allows us to improve the building's generation system by detecting the color of the roofs or the roof type. It also adds us to add missing buildings information where we don't have those information in the data sources we use. It also allows us to improve on the quality of Bing Maps aerial imagery. Like sometimes some area can be captured with clouds on top of them, and then we can detect those and replace them with texture synthesis that happens at runtime.
Okay, so it's nice how they're explaining how they're using Microsoft Azure Cloud. So again, with the terrain synthesis, everything else, as well as I'm surprised by this. So they actually went and detected trees, like they actually know the actual location of trees. Not that they're going to be using that or not, but that's a lot of information. Okay, this is the one that a lot of us have been very worried about. So the impact of my internet connection. Is it stream only or is it offline? Let's find out. Like, hopefully there's an offline mode. Hopefully.
But what about the impact of my internet connection? Because at this point, you may be wondering, we are streaming all of those data, like Bing Maps data, Azure augmentation data. We represent the entire world. So what happens if I don't have high bandwidth available? What happens if even I have no internet connection at all? We ask ourselves this very question, and I'd like to answer it through 3 main points. The first one is that we do adaptive streaming. What this means is that we measure real-time the bandwidth you're using.
Sorry, stop it. There better be a flippin' offline mode, because if this is all they're doing, there's gonna be... Whoa.
And adapt our bandwidth requirements according to this measure. The net result of this is that the better your bandwidth, the better your overall experience. Next, we developed a full offline mode.
There we go. There you go. So there will be an offline mode. That is really good to hear. I was getting worried for a second.
Extreme case where you have zero available bandwidth, we synthesize the ground textures, and we also still have all the buildings data and all the water data, and for some regions also the trees data. So the result of this is that we still have a world where VFR flying is possible. It gives us a reasonably accurate representation of the world. And the third point is that we can pre-cache arbitrary regions of the world. What this means...
Okay, so pre-caching as well. So kind of like you can select certain regions, cities, I'm guessing. So it's kind of like what you have for X-Plane. So if you download it off Steam, you can select the world or certain regions, like North America, only Africa. So that's good to know too. So if you don't have 2 petabytes of data, we can download and store. It's nice how you just select certain regions. So that's good to know as well. Let's go here.
Same quality you would enjoy in an online setting. To put some images again on those words, I will show the 3 different quality levels that you can experience. First one here, offline mode. This is the Seattle area in offline.
Still looks
good.
As
you can see all the buildings are
That's
there,
good.
all the water information is there, and the city is recognizable.
So it's like Flight Sim.
Second here is online Paris.
X-Plane.
So the majority of buildings here are being automatically generated, and you also have the water information, and it's a more accurate version of the world. And here again, VFR flying is possible. And third...
Okay, VFR is... I'm sorry, I gotta stop it. He keeps on bugging me with that one sentence. It's just like, VFR is possible. It's just, look, dude, we've been flying the world in Flight Sim for how many years now? Okay, the whole thing is VFR. It's okay.
Here is where we have the best quality. This is the city of New York. You may have recognized it. This is when we have photogrammetry data available in Bing Maps for more than 400 cities.
Okay, so again, it's kind of like the entire Apple Maps, Bing Maps idea, how certain cities are going to have more detail than others because they actually have the photogrammetry detail. They actually have the actual cloud points. Okay, what's this? Fine details.
But now, how about the fine details? Because it is impossible to accurately capture all the very fine details of the world. Like you cannot know exactly where each blade of grass is or which precise details you have on a given building. So in order to add this level of precision to Microsoft Flight Simulator, we relied on procedural generation. We are adding ground details, for dirt, grass, and asphalt. We generate grass blades, actual 3D geometric grass blades. We display millions of them on screen. We also add water shading, up to the point that we even have the water affected by the wind, which creates waves on the water. We also add night lights, both along the roads and on the buildings. We also add details to the buildings, and all of this helps create a much more believable world. As you can see here, this is
Okay, still want to know what the graphical impact of all of this going to be, because I personally don't need a million blades of grass in my sim, but if it runs well, awesome. If not, then all right.
taken in Bretagne, France. And as you can see, you have the procedural grass being generated. You have those little houses that are generated. You also have those trees that are being generated procedurally. You also have the water shading for the sea, and it gives a much more realistic representation of the area. So this is it for the
Okay, so that was a really interesting video. So I answered some of our questions, and now I have so many more about just like the finer details ideas, so how we can turn that off, everything else. So that's the first video. Let me know what you guys think of that stuff. Let's go on to the second video after this quick intermission. All right, welcome back. Let's do video number 2. Let's check out the weather in their next flight sim. Let's check it out, guys and gals. There we go. Weather. Whether or not we play, if you know what I mean. Okay.
Hello everyone, I am David Deden, Creative Director at Asobo Studio, and I'm super proud and happy to talk about weather today for the new flight simulator. There is 5 important things we want to cover today about this new atmospheric engine in order to unify the rendering of the sky in the simulation. Everything related to the weather special effects, also the new day and night cycle, the volumetric clouds, and the live real-world weather implemented natively in the game.
Okay, volumetric clouds. I'm really interested to hear about that, just how the engine renders them. But yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. So atmospheric sim. Let's see.
So to start with the new atmospheric simulation, we had to completely restart from scratch this aspect of the sim, because we really wanted the lighting of the world to be as realistic as possible, and to take advantage of new techniques coming from the video game industry to make this as best and as realistic as possible. So in this case, the new scattering systems allows us to unify all the different sources of light and to render all of them all together. Typically, the sunlight, the moonlight, the starlight, the city lights, all of those things are informed by the air density, by the humidity of the air, even sometimes by the pollution. And all those different layers of atmosphere are taken in account to scatter all the photons coming from those different light sources. So the
Okay, that was really interesting how he mentioned that. So it's almost like volumetric lighting in that sense. So the weather will impact the lighting. So like you said, so mist and fog, humidity, even just fog, like smog, is going to be able to impact the ambient lighting of the area. So that's going to be really interesting to see.
shadows have also been really improved. Now the mountain casts shadow on the clouds, the clouds cast shadow on the mountains, the clouds cast shadow on themselves, and all of those different layers of clouds cast shadow on the ground, which gives a general feeling of realism which is never seen before. So now, what about the new weather special effect? We've got now a fully volumetric 3D rain natively in the game. We also have volumetric rainbow scattering. It's really based on what would happen in real life. If you have the right context, the right level of humidity, typically rain, and the right angle, you will see rainbow where you would see it in real life. At the level where actually, as in real life, most of the time there is an echo to the first rainbow, and you can see it in game. You can see the echo of the first rainbow propagating in the atmosphere, because it's a scattering calculation, so it works as in real life.
That's really cool to hear. So the rainbows, they actually have physics in this game. So I think it's like around 44 degrees when the light hits the raindrop, goes through, or, you know, water droplet. So that's cool to hear that, again, they're sticking with a little bit of interesting new physics and its dynamics. So That's cool.
So the rain impacts also the cockpit itself. Each water drop on the windshield is informed by the speed of the plane or the thrust of the engine. Depending of this, you will see the
Okay, I'm just gonna stop it right here for a second. So each water droplet is pretty much calculated, which is insane. But performance, that's the number one thing that I feel the community wants to know about right now. How is this all gonna act on performance? Like, again, we're assuming that everything is rendered locally, so you do have Azure cloud data coming in, so like weather conditions, world conditions, everything else. But how is this all gonna impact our local GPUs? Like, what kind of settings are we gonna need for this? Do we all need the new Titan video cards? Let's keep going.
each drop of water being stretched on the windshield, which is pretty neat. We also have a fully volumetric fog. We also have the icing, depending of the real life parameters and context.
That's cool.
So we will see the ice propagating on the wing and with all this.
That's cool, but that's gonna be scary. I'm really interested about the icing part.
Systems that allows the pilot to de-ice the wing. This clip is cool because it shows what I was talking about. You can see this
Oh, that's cool. Like the actual rain that's coming down. That's
the cloud in the middle of the picture, which is lit directly by the sun because there is a hole in the cloud sailing, and the other clouds all around are darker. And it works also for the rain that you can see under the cloud, which is lit directly by the sun too. So you can see the nice movement of the rain. So it's a time lapse, so it has been slightly accelerated in order to demonstrate what I was talking about. Here you can see the rainbow, and if you look at it closely, you can see the echo of this rainbow behind it, again, because it's really based on physical calculation. Here you can see the rain impact the cockpit rendering and typically the way the water propagate on the windshield itself, and you can
so. I just remember this one part from Battlefield 3 when they're still beta testing it, and it was the first video game I could remember where they put wind, like air, in the game. So like when there's an explosion, the tree would go back, and it's just like whoosh. This is a step above that. I mean, like the guy mentioned that your engine thrust, so your engine settings, directly impact the calculation of each water droplet. So that's insane. So full throttle, more water is going to get thrown back. It's going to be faster. Amazing detail.
see that depending of the speed, the drop of water will be stretched in the direction of the wind, which is pretty neat.
Where's it coming from?
So we have also improved the night engine. So now
Okay, can we just give kudos to this guy in the background? Like he's just herping and derping in his airplane, and awesome.
we are talking about a fully yearly based day and night cycle. What it means is that the position of the sun will be really informed by the moment of the year. Summer, the sun will be higher in the atmosphere in the north hemisphere, obviously, and it will be lower during the winter. But it's the same thing for the position of the moon, depending of the moment of the year or the month. Same thing for the stars, which will have their accurate position in the sky. We have also
Going back to Titanic when they had to do the special edition or whatever because they got the stars wrong. Like Microsoft is paying a lot of attention to details, so that's good. And hey, look, it's Orion's belt.
completely revamped the lights on the ground. So the city lights, the road lights, the runway lights or the airport lights in general. All those lights will also inform the rendering. You can see
Very
the
impressive.
clouds being lit by the city by night.
Nice.
And it allows, as a result, VFR navigation by night, which is pretty cool. All
I really like how you mentioned that. For once, the cloud's going to be lit by the city. So again, it's like volumetric lighting. The lights are actually going to affect the clouds. So it's actually realistic. It's not just pitch black
the
anymore.
reflection also are taken in account. So you will see all those lights reflect on the water, for example, which is also rendered as any layer of the atmosphere. It sounds weird, but it's actually the case. So you can see on those videos that during a dark day, the water will be super dark and the reflection of the buildings are really dark. And in a bright day, you can see that suddenly, in this case, the Seattle Bay is pretty colorful.
Microsoft Ferris Wheel Simulator 2020 confirmed.
And you can see that the ocean now is at the same spot much more blue due to the color of the sky and the reflection of the buildings
C'est
themselves.
très bleu.
It's much more
Blue.
colorful too.
I want to hear. This is what I want to hear about right here.
So now a few words about the volumetric clouds. To us, they are a little bit the star of the show because obviously they are super important during a flight. They are generated based on 32 layers from sea level to high altitude.
Holy.
Each of those layers are informed by fuzziness, density, cloud shape, and all those clouds can be seen from any angle. There is no billboard effect. It's truly fully volumetric. They are not only visible from any angle, they are also informed during their life by the updraft, the wind, their dissolution, their formation that you can see.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So it's actually kind of they actually have a mini weather cycle in the game, which is if you're using this for a gliding sim, so if you want to do a glider, you can actually do real world techniques. So looking for the clouds as they form, hence there's going to be thermals. That's really cool to hear.
If you observe them exactly like it would be in real life, informed by the real life weather. So it's really neat.
Mhm.
Thanks to this system, we basically have a native support of all the cloud types, depending of the width of the
That's cool.
layer
Sorry.
or the density of the layers. We can basically display any type of clouds thanks to this system, which is super cool. And we simulated this all around the globe, and the view distance is 600 kilometers, which is really important because especially when you fly in airliners, you can see them from very far, and we still have the same level of accuracy, which is really great. In this video, we can see that even inside the cloud, the density of the cloud can evolve.
Oh.
That when we go under them, you can see that the clouds cast shadow on themselves. There's 2 layers of
Stop it.
so cast shadow
There
on
you
the
go.
ground. On this one, you can
That was
see
cool.
how the updraft inform the formation
Oh,
of
they
the
got
storm.
kind of
As
like
a
the
result,
mountain
now
winds
I
and
would like
everything
to
else,
show you
eh?
this video where we can see the different type of preset we've got in the game. You
Wow.
can change them on the fly, from clear sky to broken sky to stormy weather to rain, etc.
Again, this is all amazing. I just want to hear how it's going to render. Like, how does the engine work? What is the impact on performance going to be like?
All those presets are accessible
the trees.
directly, from the in-game interface. So I would like to show you now something pretty cool that you haven't seen before, is the ability for the user to change seamlessly the time of the day just with this slider. It's real time.
Oh my gosh, we're playing like this is so sick. Okay, so it's like a real-time weather tool. It's great for teaching how weather works too. That's awesome.
No loading, and it's really cool. Hope you enjoyed it.
It's almost like GTA 5 now. There you go. Okay.
So now a few words about the live real world weather. Based on everything I've said so far on the weather system, the architecture of the rendering of the weather has been made in order to also be able to receive real world data and to inject those data directly in the engine to represent the real world as close as the data we actually collect all around the world. Those data are somewhere around 60 different layers everywhere in the world. Each of those layers, again, define the level of humidity, density, fuzziness of the different clouds type. We inject that directly in the engine, and it
I just want to hear where there's coming from. I'm just curious. So like, if it's like GOSPA, is it NOAA, Environment Canada, WSI? Like, where's this weather coming
gives us
from?
as a result exactly what we would observe in real life. If there is a cold front in real life or hot front in real life, a storm, if it rains somewhere, all of that will be directly injected
So if you're having a bad snow day at home, you're gonna have a bad snow day in game. That's it's gonna be cool.
into the engine and will reflect what happens in real life. So on top of the information related to the clouds themselves, there is also all the information related to pressure, to humidity, to temperature,
Now you have to do your takeoff performance, everyone. You got to make sure you got your proper.
to wind gusts.
Everything
So
really
as a result,
works
we
together
have a
now. That's
native
awesome.
support of Jetstream, for example. So your navigation will be based on actual.
Oh, wow, they have the
weather
Jetstream
information that
now.
you will
That's
have to
awesome.
Take in account, which is super important, typically for airliners, where the navigation is really based on the speed of the wind on higher altitude. So
Très
in this
vrai,
video, you
monsieur.
can see a screenshot of a website with real life data, how we put this
Australia.
in the menu of the game. and how you can actually see the exact same clouds in game.
Okay, I
So
feel
to
like
conclude
one
this
day I'm
video,
gonna be
there's
using this
three
at work. Like again, yeah,
highlights.
that's
The fact that we have
that's
a
just
full
crazy.
spectrum weather that you can edit on the fly, real time, seamlessly. That we have a fully volumetric sky, and
Mhm.
also that the live real world weather data can be injected natively in the engine and gives you exactly what you would have in the real world. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur. C'est un très video. And that's it, folks. Those are the 2 videos that are currently released. We'll do another one, watching the other 2 new ones come out soon, so like the aircraft and whatnot. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Final thoughts from me. It's exciting. So like again, we have our offline mode, which is thank goodness. If they didn't have that, there'd be a heck to pay. But they do have an offline mode that's awesome. The one thing we really didn't hear about was just the engine, like the GPU usage. Like, what are the specs we're gonna need to run this? Because again, when the alpha comes out and we can test around, if I get alpha access, I'll definitely share. If there's not a disclosure agreement, but yeah, sure. It's been really cool watching these videos. Thank you, Microsoft, for sharing this with us, the community. You can watch these on the Insider site for free. Go join there now. There will be a link in the description. But yeah, what do you all think about this so far? Again, looks great. Amazing effects and details. Like again, great that it looks awesome. Even better to hear the amount of detail that they have. So all the way down to pressure, volumetric lighting, everything else. So like real world things. Again, what kind of computer are we going to need to run this, right? But as usual, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy landings. As always, fly safe and see you in the next video. Thanks again, everyone. See ya. Oh yeah, and you can click one of these videos too, or my face if you want to subscribe. It's your choice. Just don't hurt me too much here, so I'm just waiting for you to head out. Are you guys gone yet? If just watching this guy. Seriously, you should click on something. Okay, bye.